Know that valuable ventilators have been delivered to our state, but as we see more and more cases of the deadly COVID-19, we know the state is working to get more. Now, they also want more patient beds as hospitals get closer to being overwhelmed. The governor is saying that we could hit capacity in less than a week. So what is being done to get more field hospitals and ventilators to our state, one that so desperately needs help? Here's Paul Dudley with the answers.
Outside the convention center, preparations are already underway for more COVID-19 patients. Essentially, you could call this doubling down. Governor Edwards says he wants 1,000 more beds here by Sunday. Then we are told that another 1,000 will be here by April 20th, all for COVID-19 patients who are feeling okay to leave the hospital, freeing up more beds, which is very important in these situations, but essentially are not okay to go home just yet. We're also learning that there is going to be a new 250 patient facility opening up across the street. This is going to be for patients who likely have COVID-19, but whose test results have not come back just yet.
So the space across the street from the convention center it's called a personal housing unit, and this is an area for persons under investigation.
Now, we're not just talking about field hospitals here, we're also talking about the importance of ventilators. Governor Edwards says so much more work needs to be done when it comes to ventilators. The state has ordered 14,000 ventilators, including 5,000 from the federal stockpile. As of Tuesday, only about 300 had come in. On Wednesday, we did see ventilators being delivered by the state, many likely headed to New Orleans.
President Trump did approve another 150 ventilators to be sent to the state of Louisiana, and those will be kept in hospital settings where that's the most appropriate use, and so no one at the convention center will be on ventilators.
Now, there is a chance that there will be more of these step-up facilities, as they're called. The health department says that the governor has been in talks with some other locations, but they would not say any more than just that. That is the story outside the Morial Convention Center. Paul Dudley, Eyewitness News.
All right, Paul, thanks so much. As far as staffing, the state of Louisiana has contracted out the medical staff for the convention center with wraparound services from state and city. The facility across the street from the convention center will be staffed by the Navy and their medical teams.